Hello, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and you know what? I thought that was pretty fun. Sure, not every match meant something in the long term, but generally the matches were pretty good, and it felt just a little more than a house show. This is what happened at WWE Super Showdown. Kicking things off with the New Day versus The Bar for the SmackDown Live Tag titles, and there's not too much to be said about this one. We've seen The Bar look dominant for several weeks now, and as soon as this match was revealed as the opener, it was pretty obvious where things were going. A really enjoyable back and forth match, which admittedly could have gone a little bit longer, but this match was designed and placed here to get the match hyped for the rest of the show, and it did a very effective job in doing so. Also, before I move on, what a bloody finish from Xavier and Kofi, which combined a backstabber with a coup de grace. I thought that was fantastic, and I guess this now poses the question, who can topple the New Day? We've seen the vast majority of the SmackDown tag division have a go. My hope is for Sanity. I think they desperately need some time, some exposure, some wins, but maybe R-Truth and Carmella? Next up, Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title, and before today, this was probably the match that I was most excited for. So a really good match, but I wasn't quite sold on the finish, which saw Becky grab the SmackDown Women's title and sort of whip Charlotte with it in the tummy, which resulted in a DQ, which means obviously Charlotte wins, but Becky keeps the title. So after the match, Charlotte attacks Becky, but Becky quickly regains control and lays out Charlotte. And as I say, I thought the finish to this match was a bit crap, but if this leads on to bigger and better things, probably at Evolution, and it puts more eyes on that, then I think I'm all for it. Becky is still over as hell, by the way, and if it was WWE's idea to garner sympathy for Charlotte with that post-show attack which she initiated, then this is not the way to do it. I'm not sure if that is their idea. I'm not sure if they want to position Becky as a tweener, as a heel. I don't think we know, and that's interesting. That makes for interesting TV, but as I said, not the way to do it for sure. Overall, a good match, dodgy finish, but no real complaints. Next up, Kevin Owens and Elias versus Bobby Lashley and John Bradshaw Cena. So before the match, as expected, Kevin Owens and Elias did a fantastic job of riling up the crowd. Am I the only one who wants to see these guys team together for a little bit longer? But also, as expected, this was the house showiest of house show matches, with John Cena, after, 10 minutes or so, getting the hot tag and delivering his 5 moves of doom. Wait, no, 6 moves of doom with his new, I think it's called the Lightning Fist, and there you go. I personally like the 6 moves of doom thing. Like, Cena's been criticized for so long for his wrestling ability, so to prove us all wrong, he's added the 6th move in his arsenal, this crappy little punch, and he's trolling, he knows what he's doing, so yeah, big fan of that. Obviously, this isn't what either KO or Elias deserves, but if you thought this was going to be anything other than exactly what we saw, then you are a damn fool. After the match, Cena grabs the mic, says some nice things about being in Australia, and then goes backstage to collect his big fat paycheck after performing 6 moves. And if I could do that, then I'd do exactly the same. I will also say, if the idea is to make these international events feel more than house shows, then this is not the way to do it, but maybe that's not the intention. The money's still there. Next up, the IIconics versus Asuka and Naomi in what was once again actually a pretty fun match. The IIconics have had a bit of a rough time since being called up from NXT. They're not a team who needs win after win after win after win, but although they've been getting a lot of mic time, they haven't picked up many wins at all, and actually, seeing them win in, not their hometown, but their home country, it felt quite special. I was smiling when it happened, so fair play to you, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Seeing Naomi and Asuka in this position is frustrating, especially Asuka, but this is one match that, in my mind, I'm going to view as a house show match. It was house showy as hell. Once again, there was slapstick, there was dancing, and let's just view this one as non-canon and forget that Asuka and Naomi just lost to the IIconics. At least it was Naomi that took the pin. I'm just thinking about the IIconics celebrating in the ring after the match. They seemed really happy. That was nice. Just concentrate on that, Adam. Good. Oh, and also, we rarely get to see the IIconics finish, which is called the sick knee from Sydney, and it's a brilliant move, so hopefully we see lots more of that. Fingers crossed, in my mind at least, for a women's tag division, because it would give teams like the IIconics, who aren't doing too much, something proper to do. Next up, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE title, and this was very good indeed. A fantastic match which arguably should have main evented. I loved Joe selling the knee, had me fooled for a second, and that worked really well into the remainder of the match itself. Great sequences, great storytelling, great selling, not just from Joe but AJ as well. I felt a little bit let down by the finish, which saw Joe tap, and I'd have rather just see him protected a little bit more. Like, it's really frustrating seeing Joe have all these feuds and he always comes out on the losing end. I'd rather just see him protected a little bit, but I'm nitpicking here. Overall, a really great match. So the match was absolutely fantastic, but this being the end to this incredibly intense personal rivalry, I did feel a little bit shortchanged. Like, a few weeks ago, Joe turned up at AJ's house, and then on this week's SmackDown, it was revealed that, hey, he didn't even go in the house. And I know WWE, because of sort of restrictions on content and what they can actually put on TV, they can't do Pillman's Got a Gun. I'm not expecting that anymore. But it was a bit of a letdown seeing that, but no complaints about the match itself. So I'm excited to see AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan at Crown Jewel. I will get to the Daniel Bryan versus Miz match in a moment, and you know that's going to be a great match, but I can't help but think at this point AJ's reign is paramount in WWE's mind. They want to eclipse CM Punk's reign. That's where it's going to go. I can't see him dropping this belt before Royal Rumble. Maybe taking it all the way to WrestleMania, but I still think it's quite likely that we will eventually see The Miz versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the WWE title. There is more mileage in that story, even though it didn't seem like it tonight. Next up was the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey versus the Riott Squad, and I felt like the whole of this match I was waiting for Nikki Bella to turn on Ronda Rousey. Like, at the beginning, they were in the ring and they couldn't decide who was going to start the match. Would it be Nikki? Would it be Ronda? But nope, that didn't happen. A good, if not predictable match, but with, I think, a very, very good finish indeed. So the finish saw Ronda Rousey lock in the double armbar on Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, making them tap almost immediately, which I'm all for because at least it protected Ruby Riott, who is by far the most talented of the trio. Ronda continues to look incredible in the ring. I've said it before, I'll say it again. She is a woman that just gets professional wrestling. I'm a little bit worried that she's demolishing opponents a little bit too quickly. I desperately don't want to see Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey at Evolution. I guess we'll see in the coming weeks. Next up, in what for me was the match of the night, the Cruiserweight title is on the line, Cedric Alexander versus Buddy Murphy, and this was incredible. What a match. So earlier, after the IIconics won, I thought, no, this isn't good. They're not going to have the IIconics and Buddy Murphy win on the same card in Australia. So happy to be proved wrong. An incredibly fast-paced match, which did so much to draw attention, not just to Buddy Murphy, but I think the Cruiserweight division as a whole. Cedric Alexander's reign hasn't been bad, but it certainly hasn't been good either. I think Buddy Murphy is going to do terrific things for that title and for that brand. One of my favourite things about this match was when Buddy Murphy kicked out of the lumbar check, a move that almost never ever gets kicked out of. Cedric's had such a dominant reign, and that is why you protect finishers. So finally, when somebody does kick out of it, it feels so much bigger. That was a fantastic false finish. As I say, totally got me. So Buddy Murphy is the new Cruiserweight champion, a title which he well and truly deserves, and all is right in the world. This is a guy that nobody was talking about 12 months ago, and his passion, his determination, his hard work have absolutely shone through. He's created an incredible character here, and I'm really glad, not just because it was in Australia, but I'm glad that he was the one to dethrone Cedric Alexander, even more so than Mustafa Gulak. I think, as far as improvement goes, Buddy Murphy is the man. Next up, the team of Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler in a match with all of the titles, but none of them on the line. Again, not too much to say here. I enjoyed the Dean tease, I enjoyed the spear spot, and is there anything more predictable than Dolph Ziggler eating the pin at the end of this match? This largely felt like a prolonged Monday Night Raw match, but it was still good. They've added a new layer in the story of Dean, Roman, and Seth, and I think that'll play out nicely in the run-up to Survivor Series. A good match. Moving on from a good match to Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, and what the hell was that finish? So if you didn't see it, the match was off to a good start, but then Daniel Bryan rolls up The Miz, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. Really, I'm not sure if this was due to time constraints or was a monumental botch, but Jesus Christ, this was not good. Disappointing, to say the least, especially with the tremendous amount of build-up in this feud. And sure, this finish may play into the story months down the line, I'm not sure, but if I'd been in Melbourne tonight, I'd have been mighty pissed off. Main event time, and it is The Undertaker with Kane in his side versus Triple H with his best buddy Shawn Michaels in his side. So this match was all about storytelling, an incredibly slow-paced match, which is forgivable given the participants in the match itself, and actually, I think it was really fun. Some big spots, some false finishes. This is pretty much exactly what we expected. I'm not sure why Taker punched the ref. I'm not sure why Kane was laid out for about 20 minutes following an elbow drop, but if this is the way that they want to get to DX versus the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel or wherever, then this was a reasonable enough way to get there. So Triple H wins the match following ref bumps, sledgehammers, interference, super kicks, pedigrees, everything, and there you go. I don't want to see Shawn Michaels wrestle again, I've made that abundantly clear, but I think now is the time to accept that that's what we're going to get. Money talks. And we're probably going to see DX versus Brothers of Destruction, and then we're probably going to see Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels again, and that's what it is. It's a shame to see the story of Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker tarnished in that way, but as I say, that's what's going to happen. This was never going to be a technical masterpiece, and I know a lot of people were disappointed by it, but I think given the people involved in the match, this is exactly what people should have been expecting. This is actually better than what I was expecting. I think there was more going on in the match. I will say that all of these guys should probably learn to talk to each other a little bit more quietly during matches. But it was fun. It was fun. Am I convincing myself here? No, it was fun. So that's pretty much it. I sort of feel like house show is an unfair way to describe these international network specials. We saw a mid-card title change, we saw some canon storyline development, and we saw some bloody good matches. So, house show +1? If you can do better, leave it in the comment below. I'm going to finish my Fosters now. See ya! So that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and you can follow me on Twitter here. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.